For decades, the search bar was the undisputed front door to the internet. Today, that door has been replaced by a fragmented landscape of LLMs, ambient wearables, and task-oriented AI agents. In the 2024 model, a user's journey is linear, typing a query, navigating Google Ads, and manually managing the checkout. By 2026, this shifts to the great decoupling of search and intent, a condensed path where a prompt leads directly to a transaction. Recent McKinsey data shows that 50% of consumers already use AI-powered search, placing half of traditional brand traffic at risk. Instead of clicking through to a website, these users are conducting research and evaluation entirely within an AI assistant. For technical teams, this requires a pivot in back-end architecture. Efforts are shifting from optimizing human-readable HTML to engineering machine-actionable APIs. In this environment, the ability to rank on a search engine is only valuable if the buyer's AI agent actually needs to open a web browser to complete the job. The system managing these interactions is the Transactional LLM. Retail is the first major vertical for this disruption, relying heavily on the discovery, comparison, and personalization workflows that language models are engineered for. When a user prompts for a specific item, like a cold weather running shoe, the LLM does not perform a traditional keyword search. Instead, it processes technical requirements and returns a curated shortlist with embedded product data. Actionable checkout links are generated natively within the chat interface, allowing for an immediate purchase. This creates a closed-loop ecosystem where the user remains within the chat window, bypassing the traditional e-commerce storefront entirely. Google's commercial defense relies on its dominance of structured data across shopping, travel, and local verticals. To maintain growth as text queries flattened, Google deployed Performance Max and Merchant Center Next to manufacture new ad supply from high-intent data. The vulnerability in this moat is that it requires Google to be the primary interface of the mobile experience. Agentic browsing uses AI assistants to intercept consumer intent at the moment of inspiration, often before a user even considers opening a browser. An agent can proactively suggest a better price or handle comparison research autonomously in the background while the user is elsewhere. Many previously Googleable moments are now resolved without a search query ever being typed. This shift has forced major brands to split their search budgets to capture intent occurring off-platform. When the transaction is finalized inside a competitor's language model, Google's lead in high-intent data is effectively neutralized. OpenAI's instant checkout feature in ChatGPT is the specific tool driving this change in consumer behavior. The underlying infrastructure is the Agentic Commerce Protocol, or ACP. ACP is an open-source standard co-developed with Stripe to standardize how machines conduct commerce with other machines. Here's the packet-level view of an instant checkout being initiated. By looking behind the conversational interface, we can see the JSON payloads and the network routing nodes that handle the logic. A data packet carrying the user's specific intent leaves the OpenAI server node and targets the merchant's API gateway. The ACP handshake protocol authenticates the agent's request, verifying the agent has the authority to act on the user's behalf. The LLM processes the response and acts as a buyer-side agent to finalize the decision. This triggers a secondary pathway that routes secure payment execution tokens directly to Stripe without human intervention. Back-end webhooks immediately confirm the order creation and send a success signal back to the LLM. The LLM then updates the human user's chat interface with a final digital receipt. This machine-to-machine execution occurs in milliseconds, contrasted with the minutes a human requires to manually fill out web forms. The technical goal is the total removal of friction from the decision-making process. ACP standardizes this communication, so any AI can autonomously purchase from any compliant merchant. For capturing agentic traffic, traditional SEO and web crawlability are now secondary to API accessibility. To remain visible, merchants must expose 3 specific machine-actionable API endpoints directly to the web. The first is the product listing and details endpoint. This allows an AI agent to instantly parse technical feature comparisons across thousands of SKUs. The second is the pricing and stock endpoint. Real-time data accuracy here is a functional requirement for the system to work. If stock data lags, leading to a failed transaction or an AI hallucination, the agent will penalize the merchant's trust score. The third endpoint is shipping and returns. Agents treat this logistics data as programmable constraints, calculating total friction before they ever authorize a purchase. Merchants who do not expose these three exact endpoints will be invisible to the 2026 generation of AI purchasing agents. This macro-level view shows a central LLM node routing thousands of simultaneous queries directly to merchant APIs. The landscape is moving away from the attention economy of clicks and page views. This is a structural transition toward an API-driven automation economy. Success in this environment does not depend on capturing human attention, but on satisfying the requirements of machine logic. The architectural priority for 2026 is clear. Back-end teams must treat AI agents, not human users, as their primary customers. Capturing this market requires exposing robust, zero-latency endpoints that support native instant checkout integrations. Relying on a human to manually open a browser and type in a credit card number is an increasingly fragile business model. The industry has moved into a machine-to-machine reality, where search and intent have decoupled from the browser and moved directly into the API.